Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Match preview show. Chelsea won 5-0 today against Reading. Have we got anything to worry about, or are we just still top of the league because we are that good? Joined today, as always, Sunday crew, Nat, Ben, Matt. How you all doing?
Good.
I'm good, you, John?
Yeah, not bad, John, not bad.
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Yeah, not too bad at all. Nat, did you see that game? What was your thoughts on that 5-0 win?
I don't really watch others, John. I don't really care. For me, we've got our plans. We know what we need to do. I'm really more disappointed that, obviously, we'll get onto it, but, our game didn't go ahead, not through any fault of our own. The FA, I think, needs to have a bit more transparency in why certain games get called off and why certain games don't. We'll get onto that. But for me, I think we just got to carry on doing our business. We're unbeaten too, but people are forgetting about that.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. So I started something off on Twitter earlier saying, how well Chelsea were playing, what can we do to prevent them from scoring? And then obviously people came back at me, and rightly so, saying, oh, well, don't forget about how good we played. And they're actually, they're absolutely right. We got to get that blend. Thank you to people in the comments already. Hello, Sophie. Hey, John. Absolutely, yeah. Matt, did you watch the game?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, whilst it was the only one that was available, it was either that or Palace and London City Lionesses. So I went with Chelsea, as you do, and I suppose it's one of them, really. The fair play to them. I think they were. Yeah, decent. Reading didn't offer much, and it's something that we're going to have to obviously be on our guard and be aware of next week, because obviously, like Nat just mentioned, we didn't play today. We should have done, and obviously now we've lost kind of, what we would have had momentum-wise sort of to take to next week. So now it's about how we can kind of, get ourselves match ready, and just look to take the game to them next Sunday.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about, Ben. Now attention turns to a top of the table clash, first against second. You looking forward to that one, or are you a little bit nervous about it, or?
Really, really looking forward to that one, mate. It should be the best game of the season, really. You've got Chelsea arguably individually like the best team in the league. You could argue with all their millions and millions they spent on players. It should be a really fascinating tie. And if it was anything like last season, I think we could give them a really, really good game. I really do. I think we could go out there, apply ourselves the way that we usually do, work hard, get in at them, don't give them any time on the ball. I think we've got a very, very good chance of actually coming away with 3 points.
Well, we'll get on to a proper breakdown of the match throughout the show. Just wanted to obviously touch on Casey's comments from a couple of days ago. Obviously, she came out and said what she said. I think it was really brave of what she's done. It looks like she spoke on behalf of the club and the players and everybody. She said what she said. I mean, Nat, we spoke about it already, but Matt, you haven't had a chance to say your bit on that. Is there anything that you'd like to add at all?
Listen, I've been quite vocal on Twitter about it this week, and I'm sure anybody that follows me sort of knows my feelings. So obviously I'm not going to go into huge detail, but I think, and again, I saw your Thursday show where you all spoke, very well in the situation. I think it's disappointing in the fact that, it's happened, and it's kind of, for me, it's, I don't know what's the right word. It's brought like shame maybe on the league, or, it's kind of thrown it into a bit of chaos this week. We've had games cancelled, and just, I don't really know how to kind of summarise any more than I already have on Twitter. But I think for me, like you've said, Casey's come out. She said that, players were given permission to either go and see family or go on a little break. They've kind of done so. And it's kind of, unfortunately hit headlines for the wrong reasons. Now, I think, something she did mention was the mental well-being. And, I'm big on that myself. I realise that pressure with sort of working, within the game. And, it's great that our club and Casey kind of look after the players' mental well-being. But that said, with everything going on, I think it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. I think, people losing jobs, people have lost family members. It's difficult for us all. And I get that, mentally they might need something. But, it doesn't need to be on social media. It shouldn't be on social media. It's dragging sort of the club's reputation and name through the mud. For me as well, it's, you know, looking at the captain of the club here, you know, we're not looking at, like I tweeted, you know, the devs that should, you know, may not know better. We're talking an established player. And I think, you know, you only have to look. I mean, we put on United, but for me, I think I'm disappointed as a whole. You know, I look at the Arsenal players and I think, you know, 2 weeks ago, there was rolling around who's seriously ill. And then, you know, just flying off to Dubai, you know, players are isolating, and you know, if she catches that or a family member, you know, that's going to have serious complications. And I think it's reckless, you know, overall. But like you said, you know, Casey's come out. I think that's the apology on sort of our behalf, anyway, on behalf of the players. I think now it's about, you know, learn your lessons. And I know Nat said it as well. Go out on that pitch and perform now. Make it up to us that way. You know, it's happened. Whilst I would have liked personally an apology from everybody involved, not just our own players. I think Casey's started off that, you know, and I know there's been former players said, you know, just apologise. Whether other clubs do that or not is down to them. But I think in terms of ourselves now, we've just got to kind of, you know, crack on and trust that Casey's deal with it internally, and obviously, you know, go forward.
I think your last sentence right there is where I am as well now. Casey will deal with it her way, and now we're just going to move forward and look forward to this next game. Ben, your thoughts on the situation?
Just like Matt's really disappointing in a way, but at Manchester United, I said this on Twitter as well, we are held to the very highest of high standards, both on the field and off the field. And sometimes I think footballers, they're human beings like me, you, and everybody else, but I do think sometimes they've got to remember that off the field they're representing Manchester United as well as on the field. That being said, though, I think we are the best fans in the world at getting behind our team, our players, our managers when the going gets tough or they're in the headlines for the wrong reasons. I think we are the best fans in the world at getting behind the team. And instead of maybe trying to dig people out for a really, really big mistake that's been made in a way, if you could say that, I think we should be just saying, listen, you've done wrong. We know you've done wrong. Casey's come out and apologised. She's had the absolute... She's had the balls to come out and apologise, whereas all the other managers have gone into hiding and just went, you know, sort of like trying to vindicate it and defend it all. Casey's come out and said, I've held her hands up, I've made a mistake. You know what I mean? And I think that takes some utter guts for a manager that didn't even have to do the press conference, knowing the game was off, but did a press conference and sat there and said, I got it wrong, I'm sorry, I apologise. And I think that's just the class of Manchester United as a football club itself and Casey Stoney as a person. I just don't like it when I see it on social media, people are saying, oh, should sack them, leave the club, sell them, but all this rubbish. But let's just get behind the players. We know that things have gone wrong, things have done now, you know. And I get the point, you know. I've worked every day near enough throughout this since the whole pandemic started, and I get where people are coming from, and I get all the outrage. But I also think, like Matt said, though, mental well-being. I think we also got to think about that side of things, and sometimes we're a little bit forgetful that we make mistakes in everyday life as well. And the last thing you want is someone saying, "Oh, I should lose a job, should do this, should do that." I just think altogether now it's being done. Let's draw a line under it and let's just focus back on the football.
100%, Ben. Can't agree more. For me, I know. I'm telling you now. I'm telling everyone who's listening, everyone who watch later, the players are sorry. Period. That's it. The end. Yeah. So people who wanted the players are sorry. The players, you know, I'm telling you, they've said sorry, and you know whether I should say that or not, but they've said sorry. It's over. Casey's taking it though for the whole team, for all her players. She wants to protect her players. You know, when we had someone like Jose who was throwing players under the bus, left, right, and centre, calling out Luke Shaw, no one liked it. No one wants to see stuff like that. And you're seeing other managers, like you said, hide away. bury it, think it's going to brush under the carpet. No, Casey's not done that. She's come out, she's protecting her players, she's taking it for them, and that's what everyone needs to worry. So don't you worry. The players, sorry. The manager's sorry, the club's sorry. We've made a mistake. We're moving on forward. It's not even our mistake why we've not played today. I think if we had played, we would have been happy. If we had got them 3 points, everyone would have been happy, because that's what she even said, isn't it? The football at the end of the week, when we're working, you're working, Ben John's working, Matt's in a school, I'm key worker. The football back is what's keeping us going, and we couldn't have it today. And I know we're going to move on to it, aren't we, John, to talk about why we didn't play today. But for me, it's the FA. And I know people are saying don't blame the FA, but they're a disgrace. And I know I speak very strongly on things, but they are a damn right disgrace that our game didn't go. And Everton, I don't know about Everton, but Willie Kirk would have put in that application not to play us today. And for me, the FA accepting it is a disgrace. Accepting other games off, disgrace. And that's something that needs to improve in the women's game. That's why we're here. We talk about the women's game. We're talking about Man United, but when stuff like this is going on, it's the whole women's game that needs to improve, that needs to step up, that needs a level of transparency that the men's game has. Maybe not all the time, but it has a level of transparency and a level of accountability, and there are consequences for actions. Whereas I've seen just clubs are able to just do what they want, it seems, in the women's game, and choose when they want to play games and choose when they want to call games off. Yeah, it's COVID, it's different, but for me, that's the problem. The FA and teams potentially. Emma came on and she says some managers want to play, and when you want to play, you get your team out. But it's looking like some managers don't want to play. And if you don't want to play, give me the points, because I'm ready to go. I want to play.
Natalie, looks like we're all in agreement that we want to move on. People in the comments here, I've just put them on screen. They're all saying it's time to move on, back our players. Everyone's here saying the same kind of stuff. Let's move on then. So obviously with that Everton cancellation then, am I right in thinking, you guys could probably jump in who probably know a little bit more than me, that 5 players was currently injured for Everton, and then 5 players have had coronavirus between Christmas Day and the New Year. They've recently been tested. They haven't got coronavirus anymore, but they still weren't fit to play, presumably maybe self-isolation or something. And recently they've come down with another injury. So they're basically saying that out of a 24-player squad, 11 of them are unavailable. So they've got 13. Is that pretty much the gist of what was said? Yeah. Is that pretty much it? So
I think, I'm jumping on this one. From what it reads is that obviously, like you said, you pretty much covered it there. They've had however many, 4 or 5 with corona. They've come back not fully fit. Now, I saw this and I saw the statement and I read it, and my initial thoughts was, well, listen, it's not our fault if they're not fully fit. Obviously we don't know when they were back. But the thing is, they've tested negative. Now, I've had this sort of conversation on Twitter with Shane and with Sue and a few other people. Birmingham City have been made to play with 11 and 12 and 13. Happened in the Conti Cup. I think they had it for a league game as well. And the league said this week that they couldn't get a postponement because it was due to injuries. Okay, right, okay, that's fine. They're then saying now that, Everton can just postpone theirs when they've got exactly the same problem. They're saying they've got 3 or 4 injuries. That's fine, because we know they have to provide medical proof. Now, you tell me players aren't fit, that's a fitness and that's an injury issue. So if the league are coming out saying, well, it's injuries, tough, deal with it, then it's like, for me, what's the difference? I think it's like Nat said, there needs to be communication. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be clear. And I know Emma Hayes came out after the game today and said, why can't we work together to draft in these academy players to top up the squads? And, I agree. But I think we need to decide, is it, 12, 13 players because of COVID, or is it 12, 13 players, regardless of whether you've got injuries? It's part and parcel of the game, and we've got to deal with that. Now, the situation with Birmingham is they're not being backed, they're not getting the funding. There's a manager out there trying her best, and she's working with what she's got absolutely fine. And then you've got people like Willie Kirk, who've twice now dodged out of playing us. And it's just, I don't know how it's allowed to happen. I know players have called it out this week and said, it seems that if you're a smaller club, nobody cares. And if you're one of the bigger ones, you can get away with murder. And it just, I don't know, it winds me up and sure it winds everybody else up. And I saw an interview yesterday with Neil Warnock, the Middlesbrough manager, and he said, we should be looking to get these games on. Fans look forward to this at a weekend, and those of us that are still, working as key workers need something, and it's up to them to put that kind of show on and to, not be reckless and things like that, and sort of follow the rules and get everything, ahead. And I think, I'm seeing comments now, different set of rules. Again, completely agree. I think you're saying you've had corona, that's fine. We don't wish anybody ill. We want everybody back. But for me, if you've had it in your back, then you're back. If you're not fit, go and get fit. That's not on Man United to get your players fit. That's for you to go and get your nutritionists, your dietitians, your fitness coach, whatever you have up there. Let's not kid ourselves. They train at Finch Farm. They train at the men's £50 million facility. They've got access to whatever they want. So I think, yeah, just ridiculous. I mean, how you can justify that and accept that as an answer, but give a completely different answer that contradicts what you told everybody else at different clubs, for me, just stinks. I mean, Ben, I think we know obviously your thoughts on that, but Ben, what would you say?
It's a big mess, isn't it? And as I agree with that, the FA just do not help things at all.
No.
They're just not. They seem to be clueless in what they're doing. They give you like mixed messages. They're like, "Oh, this is the rules," and then all of a sudden, a team can't come out and say they can't fulfil their fixture because of this reason. Oh, we'll call it off. And it winds you up in the men's game as well. Sometimes you see lower league clubs have to fulfil their fixtures, but yet the big teams, oh, we've got this, we've got that. I'll call it off. I think elite football across the board has to have the same rules. No matter what division you play in, no matter what leagues you play in, it needs to be from the FA. This is the rules, this is the criteria. And if you can't fulfill the fixtures because you're coming up with some random excuses, other than if it's for COVID, fair enough. I can understand that. We're living in uncertain times. But when they're trying to hide behind the COVID excuse because trying to cover up like they've got injuries, they can't fulfill it. They should, for me, be held accountable for the FA. Should be hauled in front of the FA to explain one, why haven't you got ahead? And I think the FA, like you said, should be able to let them dip into their academy squads. This is what football's built upon, giving them youngsters a chance. And when you've got injuries, or your suspensions or COVID struck, but then you've got these players that are able to play. You should be able then to, as long as they're all clear on the test, should be able to come in and the fixture should be fulfilled. It's like you see the FA Cup this weekend, Derby County, whole academy side near enough. Aston Villa against Liverpool. Well, I like to call it off, play the kids. Why can't they do that at the WSL? Not Manchester United's fault. That's down on Everton. That's down on Willie Kirk. He's known for weeks and days that this fixture and months that this fixtures were coming up. And I reckon he's took the coward way out and said, I can't fulfill this fixture. I don't want to play United. You know what I mean? And you know what it'll be now? It'll get replayed. The fixture will get replayed. It'll have a full-strength squad. And then... Or near enough full strength squad, you'd like to think, and then you know what I mean. He doesn't want to get battered. That's what it is. He's fearful that he's going to get absolute pasting because he can't have his first team squad there. I just think it's absolute disgrace. I think the FA it is. I think the FA need palming off. I think the Premier League will come in and take over that league. I think the Premier League will do a better job. That being said, the Premier League sometimes don't help themselves either. And I agree with what Gary Neville said. It needs to be an independent body that comes in and sees through all these sort of things, all these sort of criteria, because it's clear that the FA, the Premier Leagues, and the leagues themselves, and whoever else is in charge, quite clearly cannot do their jobs properly. It needs an independent body in there, I think, to make sure everything is done and done fairly. That's my opinion on it, really.
Yeah, well, you said that the FA aren't helping themselves, and neither are Everton. I know the way that they keep on coming out of this. We've asked if he's going to go ahead next week, unless if there's more cases, then I can't see probably why not. But obviously, we just never know, do we? We just never know. Oh, Natalie's just coming back. Do you want to read out some of the comments that you can see, Matt, just while getting that back in there? Can you see the comments?
Yeah, sure. I think there's one, I'm going to touch on this and we're not expanding it. Yehuda's put about it being a sorry state of affairs and that all parties involved, you know, should realise that women's football is serious and can't act like that. And I think I'd agree, you know, we're coming to next year and we've all seen about, you know, they want more coverage, they want BBC and BT and Sky to pick up games. And I think the way, like Ben said, the FA have acted and, what should we say? Just made the whole game a laughing stock this week. I just feel that, you know, we as fans, we're desperate just to see it consistent. You know, we want the communication. You know, we're going about wanting equality, which we all want. You know, we want the women's game to improve. What we don't want is for when it does come on TV next year is to have a big mess like this week and say, oh, well, we've gone from, what did we have, five games on or something, and we've got one for you. And it's like tonight, you know, they've cancelled the WSL show, and it's like, okay, there's only one game, you know, can't help that now, but like, you know, it can't be this comical going forward. It's got to improve. It really has. And I think, you know, if I read out Emma Hayes' quotes here about, you know, the FA must help us get games on by allowing 5 or 6 academy players to join the bubble. We must be responsible, otherwise we'll lose our elite status. And again, I think, you know, spot on. While she does sometimes waffle on, she does talk some sense in parts. And I think, you know, it is down to everybody to work together for the benefit of the game. It's grown massively. You know, that World Cup in 2019 has done it wonders. And, you know, since I started watching women's football, it really has taken off. And, you know, the FA at the minute, I can't understand the way they're running it. There's just so many things this week. I mean, you know, Dubai's been one thing. There's more than that this week. You know, it's been an absolute shambles. And I think, you know, like Ben said, we're accepting excuses now from one manager who knows full well what he's doing. You know, he knows it doesn't have to prove that players are self-isolating because it can't be medically proven. So it's down to us to allegedly trust what he says, which, I mean, you know, I'm sure we'd all agree. You can't trust the guy as far as you throw him. It's not the first time he's tried this. But, you know, again, just get it sorted. We're looking at, you know, like I say, we're looking at increased coverage and we're saying, oh, we want this. You know, at the meeting, Sue Campbell, oh, well, we're passing the buck to the clubs. They're washing their hands of it. Why are you washing your hands of it? You know, you are the governing body running the league. You need to take some responsibility and start coming down hard. I know the Premier League this week have released a statement saying they're going to come down on clubs that kind of, you know, don't follow protocols in terms of everything that's going on. You know, it needs some leadership from the top. It's all well and good saying we'll deal with it, but clearly they haven't. You know, City accepted the players going on a jollies. Arsenal manager didn't have a Scooby-Doo where his players were, and the club said, oh, well, we'll accept business trip as a legitimate answer with a cocktail and bikini on the beach, topping up your tan. I mean, you know, we'll have meetings and things, but could have done that from our own home. And I just think just clear leadership, just discipline, and clear guidance. All we're asking is for some clarity. You know, explain, come out and say, why can't Birmingham play? You know, why have we not allowed academy players to test? You know, and let's just brush up now the game and the image that we want to portray, especially when we're getting enhanced coverage and details. Because at the minute, you know, you read the comments on Twitter about, oh, nobody wants to watch it and all this load of rubbish, you know, and it's boring and you're never going to change that narrative if it's an absolute shambles from the people running it, as far as I'm concerned.
The FA, by the way, just don't care. You can tell the grassroots, they're killing grassroots football completely. They don't care. All they care about is a fat paycheck at the end of the week. They don't care. I simply think the Premier League should be running that league, the WSL. I think it should be. The Premier League are not always completely without fault because they're within fault themselves. But I think it needs to be run by an organisation that knows how to run an elite top-level league. I just think the FA just don't care. The top brass are coming out and they're not caring. They're palming all the blame off. Do you know what I mean? They say, oh, let's grow the women's game. How can you grow it when the governing body of the English game just does not seem to care? The FA is just, they really do my head in as it is anyway. But I think it's about time. If they don't care about that product, maybe if the Premier League want it, give it to the Premier League and let's see how it grows then. Because I can tell you now, the Premier League will commercialise the hell out of it. They will advertise the hell out of these games. The FA do barely nothing for me, absolutely nothing. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's annoying. It annoys me sometimes. You know, they say, oh, we need to promote women's sport. We need to help it grow. We need to all do our bits together. But I think it's the fans that help the game grow more than anything.
Yeah.
The governing body doesn't help it. They don't care. It's quite simply this mess of a situation with this game against Everton and other games all throughout the week that have been called off for various reasons. Obviously, mostly because of COVID. But they've not once have the FA come out and put a statement out and said, this is what's happening. This is we've learned now, and we've all discussed with the clubs. We've set out guidelines that every club has to follow, and we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. But they don't. They just palm all the responsibility, saying, "Oh, it's the club's fault. It's their fault. They can't fulfil the fixtures. It's this and that," and then they're letting people get away with murder. Sometimes, you know, it's just not unacceptable. I just think they're letting not only their own product down, but most importantly than ever, they're letting the fans down. And if you can't justify your product to the fans, then you're not gonna grow this game the way that they all say they want to grow it. I just think they need to show a bit more passion, man. It's just passionless. What's her name? Sorry, Matt. That woman. She looked absolutely passionless when she was saying about the reason why the game was called off.
Kelly Simmons. She's the head.
Yeah, she's that's Kelly the Simmons. She didn't look like she cared. She was like, you know, it's their fault. How about you're the FA? You're the governing body. Take ownership. Take pride in the product that you've got. The WSL is at the minute absolutely brilliant. Full of talent there. You've got some of the best players in the world playing in your league, and you can't show the common decency, show a little bit of passion for that league. It's just ridiculous, man.
Natalie, obviously, give me your thoughts on Everton. Well, obviously, God. To me, the way it comes across, just listening to you both there, it's almost as if like the product is moving forward quicker than what the FA can handle it. Whether that be like the fans pushing it, and as Ben rightly says, all these top quality players coming in, it's almost like we're moving the game. You know, the game's moving quicker than what they can handle. Go on.
Sorry, John.
No, it's okay. You tell me about your thoughts on the Everton situation before
I
we move
totally
on.
agree with everything that I've heard. I know I'm coming in. It's my press the button. I'm wrong, but no, I totally agree with what I say. They don't care. They don't. You know, I thought this since we came in. When I saw the shambles that we had in the Championship, some of our games, me and Ben and Matt, we went down to Charlton and they didn't have oxygen. Basic essentials that you need to play a game. They didn't have it. The home team. How can a home team not have oxygen? They didn't even have a bloody ambulance. We were waiting for about half an hour, 2 hours, you know, for an ambulance to come for a girl who had basically concussed herself. And it's allowing those standards is what's bringing it down. And I mean, for me, Everton have taken advantage of this rule now that's in place. The rule's in place for COVID. If you have COVID cases, and you have under 14 players, you can't play the game and it can be postponed, but you're supposed to play that game. You know, we saw Villa, we've seen Derby in the FA Cup, men's FA Cup, playing these games with their under 23, some under 18s. But you're saying to us, we can't play it. And Emma Hayes is talking about allow us to bring in. There's only about, I think it's 23, is it? 23-man squad, 23-woman squad you're allowed? How is that enough?
Yeah, 23.
Because then you have, if you have your injuries, say Birmingham, look at them, they've got a lot of, they've not got a full squad, you know, they've got about 14-player squad, if that, you know, she's trying to add in, but they've got a 14-player squad. So then they've had one COVID test, that's put it all back. But I'm telling you, Carla Ward, if she had that one girl COVID-free, they would have played that game. So why is it Carla Ward, Birmingham City, you know, about 12 players want to play a game, but Everton are looking at these little loopholes and seeing, 13 players, let's get it off. Called off straight away. Why? Because he's looking at people like Valerie Govan, who's been out since about January, and he's saying, she's my top striker. I can't wait for her to be back. That's what he's doing, because We all know about Willie Kirk. I mean, it's a story for a different day. I don't want to go on about him, but he's sly. He sat in a press conference on Friday, knowing full well that the game was off, telling his fans, we can't wait, oh, we're back and all this. How can you sit there and do that to your own fans? And that's just the kind of person he is. And I'm sorry, I don't care, because he's an absolute disgrace of a man. To sit there and tell his fans, gas up his fans, be little girls like, yeah, I can't wait. And then bang, Casey has to come out with the bad news and tell everyone, listen, it's off. Casey was out there telling them it's off because they've got a COVID test, and they didn't even got a COVID test. It's the one before. It's not our fault that, what's happened with your players, but, you've known about your injuries. So you should have been preparing. The minute they tested positive, you should have been preparing for it. This is what's going to happen when we come back. This is how we're going to have to get them back into training. This is what we need to feed them now to make sure that they're ready. But if they're training, why can't they play? Even if it's just 20 minutes each, even if they do loads of subs, we've got 5 subs. That's what we've got 5 subs for. That's what we've got these rules for. But I think, like what Ben says, they don't understand the FA. Premier League understand how to run a thing. And I know when other fans will say, Man United, of course they want the Premier League. It's not about Premier League and coming in and having the WSL mirror the Premier League. No, I want teams like Birmingham. I want teams like Reading. They're good teams, and they won't lose through having the Premier League. But everyone is losing through having the FA running it. They don't want to take that responsibility. And I said it on Thursday, didn't I, John? I said, can't have clubs making their own decisions, because the clubs will do it to suit themselves. They want to do it to suit things. Look at City now. They've had Bronze, Greenwood, all these are out, and plus Rose and Sam. They've not got their first team, but I'm telling you, they can field enough to play 100%. It'll just be the ones that you probably never heard of, It'll be someone like Jess Park and all this. I'm not saying they're not good players, but it'd be a lot of their younger players, a lot of their squad players. Laura, you're telling me people can't play? No, I'm not having it. It's just because he doesn't want to play without his first team. And it's the same for Willie. It's the same for the City man. And the FA are just letting them get away with it. But then people like Carla Ward being punished, it's not right. We're being punished as well. Aston Villa are being punished for not playing Arsenal, and West Ham are being punished for their games not being on. So I'm totally for it now. I mean, we need to get behind that. Like what Ben says. Barmy Army. I know it's this is all for United, but I'm the chairperson of Barmy Army. We're part of the FSA. We have regular meetings. So if you do want, like people are saying to me, do a position, but it's about now like the fans through means like the FSA, through speaking to the clubs, we need to now push and get someone else to take this lead, because the FA are not fit for purpose, in my opinion, and they've shown it today. And it's over for me, for them, and all the fans should be behind that. Whether you're a Reading or Birmingham fan, you should be behind someone else taking over, because even Bristol, the FA cannot do it, and it's shown today, and it's shown they have had favourites, and it's not right, because it's only going to drag us backwards. We need someone to take us forward now, and that's the way the women's game going forward. The FA can't do it anymore.
You know what? I feel sorry for people like BT Sport and BBC. Obviously, they invested in having these games shown live on their platforms. And if I was them, if I searched someone like BT Sport that would pay, you'd think some sort of money for it, some sort of TV deal rights, because they obviously show some of the biggest games that the WSL has to offer. If I was BT Sport, I'd be putting pressure on the FA, going, what are you doing? You want us as a TV company, one of the biggest TV companies in the country that show Premier League football, and you want us to show WSL, but you can't justify getting your product played in front of our TV cameras. Why should we invest in the game? So the FA, you've got to think about that as well. They could lose potential investment of TV money, because these TV companies probably turn around and say, well, the FA don't care. Why should we care? And then it'll be all shown on that FA player. Whereas the FA player is good, but it's amateurish. It's really amateurish. It's rubbish. It doesn't work half the time. But you've got top TV companies like the BBC, like BT Sport, that want to show these games, that want to give the platform that these girls deserve to a wider audience, to a worldwide audience as well. And the FA just don't seem bothered about the product at all. They're just passionless, as I said.
Ben, you took the words out of my mouth, because I was going to bring Sky TV into there just to kind of end the conversation. Obviously, we'll probably talk more about Sky towards the end of the season, maybe. But as you quite rightly said, Sky would have put up with that if they advertised that there's going to be a game at 4 o'clock. They want a game on at 4 o'clock, won't they? That's what you'd come across. And I know it's a massive debate, and I know there's pros and cons, but in this situation, it might be a pro. But anyway, that's definitely food for thought at a later date. I think we could probably do a whole show on that one. Smash the thumbs up, guys. There's plenty of people watching. Please subscribe to the channel, subscribe to our Twitter account as well on All For United, and also a new account at All For United WSC, where you can get to see us lot give tweets on there as well. It's a match preview show, so let's start talking a bit about Chelsea and United. We've got plenty of time. Look, it's the top two teams in the country by a mile, in my opinion. I know the points don't show it because Arsenal's up there as well, but I think Chelsea and United have been consistent. They look very strong. Matt, I'll come to you first. When it comes to consistency, are Chelsea consistent at the moment because their squad's kind of consistent? So I know that they've brought in a couple of players over the summer, but it's not like 6 out, 6 in. They've got a very experienced manager who's been there for a while. It's not like Man City, who's recently coming in and out. The players are pretty much consistent. Obviously, they brought in Harder and the winger, who played today, Neve Charles, is it? So they've recently come in. But apart from that, that seems pretty much it. Do you think their successes come because of consistency?
I'd say, yeah, I'd agree with that. I think consistency and squad depth. And I think if we're linking that in terms of into our own team, I think, we talked about squad depth last year and competition for places, and we've kind of brought that in this year, and everyone's kind of fighting for a place. And I think they are able to become consistent because, like you saw today, they can take off Neve Charles and they can chuck on Harder, they can chuck on Beth England, and I think, listen, obviously, like I said before earlier in the show, they got the game on today and they kind of get that sort of match experience, what it's like after a break. And I think, yeah, they're up there because of, like you say, squad depth, consistent. And I think when they rotate, you've always got to be on your toes as a player. Those players that have the shirt at the minute, being pushed all the way by these quality players that are on the bench. And I think, similar to us, really, you've got players that are going to come in, they're going to do a job, gives the manager food for thought. And I think, you saw that today, didn't you? Reading were half asleep and they got absolutely, annihilated, didn't they, 5-0. And I think, looking ahead to next week, yes, it's going to be tough, but it's like we had a mini discussion earlier. We've got players that can cause them problems, and equally they've got players that can cause us problems. And I think, it's going to be obviously interesting because that first game at Leeds, we didn't have a fully fit squad. Probably only had about 12, 13 ourselves, to be fair. A couple isolating, a couple unfit, etc. And we got a draw. So I think, we're unbeaten away, we're unbeaten in the league in general. So let's go there now. Let's see what we get. It's going to be, we've all touched it, it's going to be a tough game. And I link back to points I made in September at the start of the season. And, recently that January is going to be sort of make or break for me, obviously. Today we should have played, we didn't. So now we've got to go to Chelsea and kind of stay unbeaten. And then we've got Birmingham City. So, yeah, I think, I'd agree that they're consistent. They've got a big enough squad, they can rotate. But coming up, they will have a lot of games now. They've got one in the league to play. They've got Conti Cup that's going to be rescheduled. They've got Champions League coming up. And they've got the FA Cup. So it's looking like they're going to be playing Sunday, Wednesday or Sunday, Thursday for at least 3 or 4 months, assuming that nothing else gets cancelled. So, it's going to be interesting. That's going to play a big part. Can they be consistent? Tiredness, injuries, fitness, all sorts going on. So, yeah, for me, I think just looking forward to it, really, now getting back and getting ready to watch some football again.
100%, yeah. Nat, why do you think it's Man United and Chelsea at the top of the league and not City and Arsenal? What's been the main differences, do you think, this season?
For me, I think it's, I know I said it, it's our mentality. Our mentality has changed into that winning mentality. For me, I'm going to say some things, but I don't really, it's United show. So, listen, we've got the most together squad. Our players love each other. The fans love the players. The manager trusts their players. For me, I think no matter who's playing, it's like she's done with this game changer thing. Doesn't matter if you start. There's no upset over I should be starting, I should be this. Look at Kristen Press. She's a 2-time World Cup winner. She ain't starting every game. and that's the way it is. And I just think, you know, she's come back though now, and then she'll be on it. She'll be ready. I'm excited for what she's going to do, you know. I know people are like, oh, you know, this and that. Tobin's great as well. But I think Kristen is going to show, you know, she's settling into the league. She had to get her fitness back up, but her fitness is totally up. And I think, you know, that's one that they need to worry about. You know, people are saying harder, this, one, that. I don't care. You watch out for us. You know, people are, you know, like Matt touched on, you know, we had that game and, like I came on, I think it was here or it was another channel, and I said it's going to be 1-1. And I said it with a sort of confidence, swagger, sort of, whatever happens, I'm never going to say my team's going to lose, am I? But I never expected us to get a point out of that. And I think the fact that we got a point and there was no Russo, there was no Tobin, there was no press, loads of other people were injured, Jackie was on the bench, you know, we were just scraping by a team and we did it. And for me, that was when it changed, because the way everyone was so happy after that, you could see it in them, the way they all came together, the way they all screamed and shout. I think, why not? I think, why can't we go there? Why can't we go there and score goals? We know what we can do. You know, we've done it against them already. I mean, I remember Kings Meadow. I saw LJ ripping Millie Bright inside out. Yeah, she didn't get a goal in the end, but it was sort of a similar move where she played it across and Leah was on the end. Unfortunately, someone came in. But why can't we go there and get 3 points? Why can't we go there and get a point like we did? So I'm excited for what's going to come. I know that usually after a break, people are a bit worried. You know, I get it. But we've not had that game. Usually after Willie Kirk plays tricks on us, we're up for it. Because that man's been playing tricks since 2018. And we've always responded well to whatever he throws at us. So for me, it's all about this game now. 100% behind the girls. I can't wait for it. I can't wait for, you know, everything they'll be doing in training. You know, Emma Hayes talks about calling up kids. We've got 2 kids that are trained with us, and imagine them being in that environment. Carrie Jones and Tara Bone. Tara Bone has been in a lot, our squad a lot. But, you know, Carrie Jones is now up there, new kid from Wales, made a Wales debut. So those kids will be learning about Man United mentality, especially from someone like Tobin and Press. But they'll be learning from the gaffer as well, and they just need to keep their head down, keep doing what they're doing. But you might see one of them on the bench. Who cares? You know, for me, I think it doesn't matter who's on the bench. It's Man United, and I think we're slowly getting that feeling. This is Man United. We won't be beaten. We won't lie down. And, you know, Reading, unfortunate. Chelsea are a good team. They sort of have their kind of mentality like that. But for me, I think let's go out there. Let's get the 3 points. It's always 3 points, isn't it, John?
100%. Ben, I'll come to you shortly. But Matt, Natalie just touched on something that you mentioned in the group chat earlier about coming back after a break. But I think this time is completely different. This isn't like a little snow break or anything. They'll have fire in the belly on this one. Can you see us coming back with like a rocket up our backside and really going for it? Or do you think they'll be a bit more conservative and kind of sit back and like, I don't know. How do you see the game going?
I think obviously lessons have been learned from the last break, which is when we came back and Villa wasn't the best. I think obviously everything that kind of we know that's gone on this week, and for all those involved have now got a point to prove, and they know fans will be unhappy. So I think that puts a play into it. I think it's nearly been a month since we've played, or it will be by the time next week, won't be far off. Again, they'll have a point to prove. And I think, you know, breaks, sometimes slightly worrying because it does kill momentum and it's difficult sometimes to get firing. But then I think, we will have had a good couple of weeks worth of training. Nat's touched on, we've had a couple of development players as well. So, for any injuries on knocks or whichever, we've got numbers. So we should have pretty much fully available squad. And I think, go there. We've got nothing to lose. We're sitting top. They're playing catch up. They have to win that game in hand as well to overtake us on goal difference. And, I think, the pressure's not on us. Yes, we've all said we're capable of winning the league, but at the end of the day, if we don't win it, nobody's going to sit here and throw toys out the pram because, if we finish second, that's still, fantastic. But I think whilst we're sitting top and we've got what we have now in terms of squad depth and we've got the quality players, we've got press back, Alessio won't be far behind. I think let's go to Chelsea and let's give them a game. Obviously, last year we ran them close, and it just shows that with last season's squad that was nowhere near as good a quality as this year, and that's no disrespect. you know, we can go and give them a game. You know, we've given them a game already at home with a depleted squad. We've now got more players back. And yeah, let's see where it takes us. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think, you know, we shouldn't be fearful because I believe in what we've got, and I believe in, you know, the manager and Casey's standards and everything that goes on in training. And yeah, you know, let's see where it takes us. It should be very interesting.
Ben, do you want to answer Yehuda's question on screen about do you think Chelsea will have an advantage because I played today and we haven't, so they'll be a bit more match sharper?
Possibly, but I don't think playing that one game extra is 100% certain that they're going to have an advantage. I just think this game is built to be an absolute blockbuster. You've got the two best teams in the league this season at the minute. You've got the two best managers in the league, without question. And you've got probably the two best squads in the league, without question. I don't think that, because fair enough, they will have a slight advantage, whereas they'll be a little bit more match fit, a little bit more sharp on the ball. But it's not 100% that they're going to go out there and win because they're playing. They've had an extra game. We just got to make sure we go out there. We don't let them have a minute on the ball. We press the hell out of them, because if you let them dictate the play, knock the ball about, they've got some fantastic players. I'll hold my hands up. They've got some really world-class players that can hurt us with time on the ball. If we do like we played against Chelsea last season at Kings Meadow, where we was in out of their faces, we were getting to tackles, we were giving them a bit of a game. So long as we believe in ourselves, I don't think it'll give them too much of an advantage. That being said, though, I think it's going to be a thrilling game to watch, though. I think from both sides, neither side are going to sit back and defend. We know both teams are going to come out and want to attack the game and play the game of football in the right way. We've got players that could hurt them. They've got players that can hurt us. You know, and it's all about going in with the right mentality of just getting in their faces. One thing I've noticed about a lot of teams in the WSL, if you get in their faces, they do not like it. You know, we just need to stand like we were last season, toe to toe, and at the start of this season, toe to toe with them, match them in every position on that football pitch. Don't let them breathe on the ball. Don't let them have time. Don't let them have space. Close that ball down quickly. When we get the ball, let's just be composed ourselves and play our football. Don't play the rush football. Don't play hoof football. Play our football. Play to our strengths. Get it to our wingers. Get it to Leah Golden. Leah Golden can hurt them. If we get in behind their fullbacks, we can hurt them completely. And now we've got that added experience of having Tobin Heath as well on the field. You've got that know-how. You've got that player that brings that calmness. You know, that will lift the players around her. That will tell players, just breathe a little bit. Just take your time. You know, on the ball. Don't rush things. Don't be a little bit. You know, don't try and force the game. Is what I'm trying to say. I think this has all the ingredients of being the best game that you could watch all season, because we're now fully up to speed. When we played them at the beginning of the season, everybody was fresh, not playing football for a long, long time. They've all had games on their belts now. They're all up to speed. Yes, Chelsea might have a slight, tiny advantage. They played today, and we've obviously not played. But then we've got to look at it. We've got that little bit of extra freshness then. We've got that little bit of extra rest time. And you know for a fact that Casey Stoney, in training all this week, will have them girls working hard. We'll have them tuned in, finely tuned, to go out there and give their absolute best that they could possibly give on the football pitch. And that's all you can ask for.
Ben, you mentioned obviously a lot of our strengths regarding players. I think a couple of their strikers have scored like 14 goals between them this season. One player who could potentially break down their attack would be Hailey Ladd, and there's a comment on screen about controlling the midfield. There's rumours on Twitter today about Hailey Ladd potentially being out of that game. Natalie, do you know where these rumours have come from? Have you heard anything about it?
For me, it's just the fact that she wasn't on her training pictures. For example, she was on the winning team now, I think someone said. So it could just be a knock, it could just be a precaution. Yes, it could be that she's injured. Obviously, you don't want to see it. But what I'd say is we didn't have Jackie playing. Yes, she came off the bench, but we didn't have Jackie in that first game. And there was a double pivot. It was Zellerman Ladd played with Tooney as a 10. And I think we could play a double pivot again with Zelly and Jackie maybe, then play Tooney as a 10 or play someone else in there, you know. And I mean, that's why she's got Tara in there. I mean, I think they'll do everything to try and make sure that Ladd is back. Ladd will want to be playing. There's no doubt about it. I mean, she posted a picture saying she's got a new house. She didn't look injured, but, you know, obviously, you know what I mean? In muscle, it could be anything, you know. It doesn't look like she's in crutches or anything, so that's positive.
Yeah.
I just think let's just wait and see. We've got a full week. You know, there's nothing more. Ladd will want to be playing. Casey will want Ladd playing. I don't think it's the end of the world. I mean, yeah, she's one of our best players. She's our defensive midfielder, but I don't think it's, oh my God, we're going to lose now because Ladd's not playing. It's just, you know, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, these games have been called off because the favourite players aren't playing, you know, and I don't want us to start calling it off. Oh, because Lads can't. Can we play it another day? No, we're going to play it today. And I think that unity, for me, the unity, that mentality. I said it. I say it all the time. It's an extra 2-3 points. I do really think it's that thing that makes you want to go even more. You know, you want to fight to the end. And I mean, Ben brought up Tobin when we played City, and they were all over us. They destroyed us in that first. Let's be serious. But Tobin took it upon herself. She's even said it's my responsibility. And I think people like that want us, you know, it's my responsibility to get us back in this game. And I think we've got a lot of players like that, you know, that will take it upon themselves. Leah, I'm seeing her sort of, the way she's speaking is sort of, I think she's taking a bit of that. And Leah, if you know her, if you speak to her, I mean, us guys sort of do know her a bit. But she was very shy at the start. But now she's sort of, listen, we can do this. And for me, that's a shift in the way Leah is not behaving, but, you know, her mentality. And her on the pitch, Tobin on the pitch, and whoever plays as a 9. You know, I'm not sure how close Leslie is. I mean, God, if she's back, that's a bloody godsend kind of thing for us. I mean, I saw pictures of her in those boot things, you know, when they did the whole leg. So obviously she's been doing something. She'll be doing some running or something. So God, you never know. We might see her running with the ball this week, and then that'll just be another thing. But the one who I know who's going to be back, because she's been back for a bit, and she's saying 2021 is my year, and she basically tore up Chelsea, even though we didn't win. LJ, you know, we've not seen a lot of her. I think she can come in and definitely cause some problems, even if she's coming off the bench. You know, I think she'll definitely cause problems. And yes, Ladd, if she didn't play, we'd be devastated. Yeah, and I can't deny how much she is a key part of this team. But, you know, it's one of those things we just got to move on. And for me, I think anyone fills in for Ladd, they'll do a good job. And, you know, for me, I think this week has shown to me how much I trust and I believe in Casey, and she will have that plan set up and she will know how she wants to do it. Not going to lie, Emma Hayes is a fantastic manager, and she'll be thinking how they did me last time. And she probably would have looked at that City first half, but there are weaknesses in Chelsea. I mean, people like Brighton nearly took advantage of it. You know, City have scored against them. Arsenal got a draw against them, and, you know, really Arsenal should have won that game. So you can say like City could have won our game, but, you know, like us, they've not always won 5-0 every game. You know, yes, they have won, but there's been some tough games. They've had to grind out results like we have. So for me, people sort of saying, oh, you know, this, and I'm scared, I'm worried. I get it. You know, they're a big team. They've got big names, but Man United's never. Well, this Man United women's team is not about big names. Yes, we have the Tobins. Yes, we have Kristen, but it's just about people like Leah Galton, Amy Turner, Martha Harris is back. You know, someone like Honor Battle's come in, and for me, she's one of the best fullbacks now in the league. And you know, she played against Fran Kirby, and for me, I thought she had her on toast. So Fran Kirby's on form. Let's not take it away, but you know, we've got our players. We have to be behind them, and I can't. I'm excited, like Matt, to be honest.
There's one comment on screen.
Can I just say? That if Hayley Ladd isn't fit, there is actually one. I think, but then you obviously you're pulling away for defence. But Millie Turner could play that sort of role, I think, and I'm pretty sure somewhere I read somewhere that she played that sort of role for Bristol City.
I think that might have been my tweet.
Was it your tweet? I read it somewhere. I couldn't remember where it was from. But yeah, I just thought that. I don't think. Max mentioned it. Then he beat me to the punch. But yeah, no one's sort of mentioned that in a way. With Abby McManus back fit now, that could sort of sort into centre half next to Amy Turner. But then you're pulling the Turner partnership apart. Then do we really want to be doing that? But that's another option. I just thought I'd get that in there quick. But Matt beat me to it already.
Sorry.
I'll put something on the Twitter account as well. Either put like one of the centre backs as a CDM, or is this a chance to play LJ at number 10 with somebody ahead of her and two holding midfielders behind her? So there are options. As that said, it's not disastrous, is it? But let's talk about the starting 11 then and give our predictions before we end the show. Matt, who would be in your starting 11? Who do you think could be fit? Who do you think Casey will choose? And give us the score at the end.
Well, I've just pulled up actually the team from the original game, so it's quite interesting to compare. So obviously Mary in goal next week, obviously that's a given. Now last time we had McManus and Millie with Ona and Smithy, which I'd swap Abby. I'd take Abby out and stick with Turner and Turner. So keep Ona left back, both Turners centre half, and Smithy right back. The two we had last time was Ladd and Zellum. Now obviously if Ladd's fit, you know, Ladd and Jackie. If not, you know, it's going to have to be somebody else. But I still think for me, I'd like to see the sort of the Jackie, Tooney and Ladd combination. I think it's served us well. I think there's a lot of comments that said we do need to dominate midfield. Completely agree. Now, obviously, last time we had Hanson and Galton in there and Jane Ross up top. You know, again, because we were depleted, I think, you know, if Tooney's in there, you know, you've got Tobin in there as well. We've got Leah Wide. That's absolutely fine. And then obviously Kristen Press is back. You know, I'd be looking to give her some minutes as well. LJ as well can be, you know, slotted in there. To me, it doesn't really matter which of the two. And yeah, kind of go with that. I think, you know, like I said, looking at that original team, obviously there's so many different options now that we've got, so many players that are fit. And I think, you know, it's interesting because, you know, Nat touched on about not being dependent on Hayley, and I think I'd agree. You know, we do. Sometimes we do have injuries to key players, and I know something was tweeted about, you know, do we need competition for Hayley Ladd? When people talk about signings, you know, and possibly, yeah, that's maybe something we might address in summer, that if Hayley's not there, do we have an out-and-out defensive midfielder? And obviously, you know, Ben briefly touched on it. I mentioned in response to, I think it was your tweet, John, and our All United Women, that Millie did play there for Bristol. That said, I think if her and Amy is sticking at centre half, which I think we need to do, I think, you know, why couldn't we try something like Abby McManus in that defensive midfield? You know, I think, again, we've got options, may as well use them. But I think for me, you know, let's assume Ladd's out. We've got to keep the Tooney-Jackie combination. We really have. I just think, you know, I've said it time and time again, Katie Zellum's not a defensive midfielder. For me, it's unfair to stick her in and expect her to be, you know, doing the same job as Hayley, because it's not going to happen. I think, you know, it needs to be either what we've got and keep it consistent, or we need to think carefully, like comments have said, and sort of dominate the midfield. So I think, you know, what I forgot there, Leah at left back here. I mean, listen, it's just options, isn't it? You know, we don't know who's fit, who's not. From what I'm told, I believe Alessia's February. So obviously this game might come a little bit too quick for her. But prediction-wise, I think, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I'm going to go slightly confident with that. Might be bold. I was going to go for a draw, but I think I'm just based on everything we've got back. I think, yeah, 2-1 win, assuming we get a decent ref, and that's a debate for another day. Then, yeah, quite confident that we can nick at least a short 2-1 win, I'm going to say.
Thanks, Matt. Go on, Ben, yourself. Your start 11 and score prediction?
Pretty much the same as Matt, really, for the start 11. But I reckon she might throw a surprise in there and go for maybe Lauren James from the start. I just think you might need the ball to maybe stick up top. And I think there's no one better than I think LJ sometimes at keeping the ball in a way, because like she's so hard to be out muscle off the football. And I think a hold up play can sometimes be a little bit underrated for me. So I think she could throw a little surprise in there. But as I said, I fully agree with Matt, to be fair. Lineup wise, I can't see too many changes or too many personnel being swapped around. I think it's going to be pretty much what Matt said there. My score prediction, though, I think we're going to sneak this one. I'm going to say 1-0, and I'm going to say it's going to be like I'd love it to be a last-minute winner. Shame we can't be there. It can't be limbs everywhere, you know. But I'd love a last-minute winner just to you know. I don't know. I think it's going to be tight. There's not going to be many goals in this one, I don't think. To decide the game, I'm going to go a sneaky 1-0 Manchester United win.
Okay. I'm going to go for a 2-2. That way, to some goals at the start, then you know, we'll continue to see goals throughout the game, which is always exciting to see. I think Everton goal with, I think the same back line as you've all said. Tim Turner's, Ona and Kirsty. I think, yeah, as you've said, Lad, if she's fit, she'll play with Tooney and Jackie. But if Lad isn't available, then I think we might see a surprise, more of a defensive surprise, because we are against Chelsea after all. So maybe another centre-back in there. And then up front, yeah, I'll go for Heath and Galton with Press up front, because I think Press will be fully fit now. It's been a while since, you know, she came back, obviously after her illness. So I think she'll be fully fit. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if LJ features in this quite a bit as well. So yeah, that brings you onto yourself there, Natalie.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same back five, Mary, Honor, Turners and Smithy. For me, I think a lot of people are saying dominate the midfield, control the midfield. And when we played the three, Jackie, Lad and Tooney wasn't really dominate. But then when we played that double pivot, it was more strong, I think, in the first game. So I think, I mean, it might be Stanley and Katie. It might be Lad and Katie like it was. Hopefully Lad is fit. But I would do that. And I think I keep Tooney as 10, but maybe like play Jackie deeper with another with Lad, you know. I think definitely have that double pivot, just keep it strong. The front, I was press. But now I am thinking LJ holds it up better. And for me, I know a lot of people call for press on the wing, but it has to be Tobin and Leah on those wings. That's what I want to see. Maybe, you know, you might see press LJ come off and then press comes on, and you might see like Tobin move through the middle and then press on the wings. But for me, I'm going to go LJ, to be fair. I know press has been back, but I just stick to what you know. That's why I know LJ. I know what LJ can bring. I know what she can do. And I think bring press on. Probably get some hate for that, but that's me. And I saw my score prediction come up. I was listening to Matt and he's saying 2-1, and I was thinking, no, it's going to be a draw. I'm going to go 2-2. But then I'm thinking, why not? Why can't we? And, you know, people come back and say, oh, you said you were going to win. Why am I not going to say we're going to win? We're unbeaten. We're going into this. Why would me as a fan not think that we're going to win? It's different from the start of the season. I said a draw at the start and I was happy with a draw. But for me, I think we've beaten Arsenal. We've got that draw back against City, which we could have easily won in the end. For me, let's go for it. I'm going to go 3-2, and I think it's going to be a last-minute winner. But I think it'll be, you know, points where they're dominating, we're dominating. But when we're dominating, we need to take advantage. We need to score them goals. And, you know, I'm excited. It's going to be a really good game, and I can't wait for it.
Excellent. It's a great show, guys. Really enjoyed that one, definitely. Thanks to everybody in the comments. We've had a lot of people watching the game, more than I thought. With it being one of our first live shows on a Sunday night. So thank you for everybody for joining in. We are going to continue being live on a Sunday. So remember that, put it in your diary, do what you need to do. Thank you very much. Thanks to everybody again, Ben, Matt, Nat. Thanks to everybody in the comments, and we'll see you Thursday evening, Thursday Night Live. Cheers, guys.